Hello YouTube, Damo_23 here and welcome back to another video on the YouTube channel. In today's video we have episode number 6 of We Look to Do It Better Than the Wrexham documentary, but more importantly it's a tactical heavy video. In today's video we're going to tackle the big old question, is this the best formation to play on the FM24 main game? That's correct. We have a 4-1-2-1-2 that is blitzing League 2, has kept me in games in some big games, and well, it is a tactic worth speaking about in an episode. It also lines in with the Notts County game, so the way we're going to tackle this question is I'm going to run through the system, I'm going to show you guys some results, and on top of that, a few goals to highlight key areas and aspects of play. And then the second part is we'll quickly recap since we last met each other against Colchester what's gone on and give you the Notts County game live, because if we win this, I do think we're going to go on and win the league. Give the episode a like, do subscribe to the YouTube channel, let me know what formation you're playing down below, and if we do beat Notts County, I do think my next episode will be another 1 minute short, just a recap to what happened from now to the end of the season when we won the league. Let's get into it without further ado. I'm going to go tactics first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the tactic first, cut away, cut back after I found out the goals that I want to show you guys, and then we'll cut back and do the recap of what's going on and the game, of course, as well. In short, it's a possession-based 4-1-2-1-2, and if you guys have been watching previous episodes, you know why we're playing this. If you haven't been, mainly I had a stream-built 4-3-3 used in the beta that was elite. It was fantastic, played some very smexy football. However, we copped a million training injuries at the start of the year, had guys already injured, like Paul Mullen, etc. as well. And what it meant is that we couldn't play my most or the best 4-3-3 side and players had to play slightly out of position. It wasn't great. So we built the 4-1-2-1-2 to get all my best players with the injuries on the pitch. And since then, we haven't really looked back. We have used the 4-3-3 in some games, to see games out or to control games, but this system is very good. Now, possession-based football was there. Feel free to pause at any time if you want to load this up in your own save, but I'm going to just run through what goes on. So we pass the ball into space, and that's mainly for, when we're looking to put a striker into the, in behind over the top of a defence. Works pretty well, but the more important thing, the quirky thing there is you're looking for the underlap on the left and the overlap on the right. Best way to show you that is we have got some player roles on the left-hand side. You've got a target forward who, by the way, very important role, big man on that side there, winning headers from the complete wing back on the other side. It is sensational, highly recommend. But he's going on staying wider. So if we need an out ball on that side, it's actually the winger, the striker that fills up that winger sort of area that you might see in the traditional 4-1-2-1-2 being a very high, bombing on fullback. You also have the Mazzala run wide as well. And why would you do this? More importantly, if Bates gets the ball and drags a central midfielder and drags a centre-back or a fullback away, it allows for the targets forward to fill in some very good space. But with the inverted wingback coming inside and filling in that role, it also means we can create a midfield overload with the inverted wingback being able to pick the ball up and look to switch the ball out to the other side. It works very well. It also means this inverted wingback sometimes in build-up play actually gets in and around the top of the box, and Lions Foster has scored a couple goals this season. I'm going to show you one of them in today's video. On top of that too, if we go back to tactics here as well, and we go back to overview, on top of that too, focus play down the middle, all our players in the middle, play out from the fence, work the ball into the box. That's mainly ticked on because we're such a dominating side in this division, but I also think because the system plays so narrow, it's a very good thing to do. If you played wide, I don't think you need to tick this on because you want players to maybe get wide, byline, cut the ball in, stuff like that. I think in a 4-1-2-1-2, because all the players are mainly narrow apart from your fullback, on the right-hand side, you really want them to keep the ball and really try and vertical tiki-taka into that area to find a shooting opportunity. Slightly shorter on a higher tempo, just leaving it standard higher tempo just to get them to play quicker, and fairly narrow width. Yet again, it is a narrow system, so you want them to stay narrow to make passes easier to link up with. More expressive, yet again, because we are a top dog in this division. However, I will say that if you are struggling, I do think being more expressive can come off, and tell the boys just to be a little bit more structured in their build-up to maybe help you out defensively. Now, we do distribute short and as always in a system that is so heavily based on being high and up the field and trying to win the ball back, you counter and counter pressing. On top of that too, the big one here is trapping inside. We do prevent short distribution much more and get stuck in. It's something I like. I am a manager that doesn't mind being a little bit in a challenge. I do take this off when you are a couple goals up to avoid unnecessary yellow and reds. Stop crosses if they do get down the flanks. However, trapping inside is huge. Something I've been using since FM23 with a 4-2-3-1. We used it in the beta with a 4-3-3 and FM24, and we've been using it in the beta and the main save here in the 4-1-2-1-2. Main thing is because teams generally play either 5 at the back or 4-3-3, their players are, their creative players are in the middle of the park. So if we can actually force those players to get the ball, it sounds counterintuitive because they're their best players and they're the players that want to link up. It's great, but if you have 4 guys here, you've got 2 strikers that are willing to press as well in the system. What will happen is they will get outnumbered in that middle of the park, and a lot of the time we force either a long ball that we sweep up or we win the ball high up the field and can go on the break. And that's because we're forcing him inside, we're laying the trap, as it says there, and with the numbers around the ball in a narrow system, you just go, thank you, that's my ball, and off you go, and we counter and counter press. The one thing I have done, which is probably a little bit counterintuitive, is on a standard line. I only done this because we do not have the quickest centre backs. I really think if you do have centre backs with like 15 plus pace, you go on higher and step up much more, because that means that even if those midfielders that against the opposition that try to get the ball inside, you can even sometimes, as I have seen with my Spurs beta save, the centre back will step up and really not allow him to turn and force the turnover. So I really do think that that is something that you can do as well, but on standard, it's not too bad. So that's the system and that's the tactic. What we're going to do now is we are going to cut away and cut back to me describing a couple of the goals, so you can see what I'm talking about in the match engine in terms of like the inverted wing back getting forward and coming inside with the target man maybe linking up with a couple of crosses from the right hand side on the complete wing back. And the only other player role that I have put in is on that complete wing back is cross more often, and that's just to really get the balls in the box. And hopefully you guys can get to see and understand why I think this might be the best system to be playing on the FM24 main save. And then obviously in the second part of this, we'll play Notts County and give it the true test against the second best team in the division. Tactical demo is in, coffee is in hand, and well, we've got our first goal. Now, this is one that highlights what Lyons Foster does. So we're going to highlight him here in the build-up play. I always play on a vertical scrolling system for those that are wondering as well, so you can really get to see tactical understanding. And I always have it on either reversed or not reversed, so you can see from your attacking movement. Feel free to pause and have a look at what I'm using. I find it very easy to break down games this way because it's more for 2D, because you're looking a little bit more bird's eye view, but with a 3D element, and you get to see the lovely animations of this year's game. Anyway, so it's a throw-in for Crawley, who, we win the ball back. And straight away, you can see the first thing we've done is an out ball, right? The target man isn't staying here and pinning himself. If you look at Palmer's initial movement here, it's, all right, I need to drift wide to create some width so an out ball can be played. And this is the beautiful thing. If you've got a guy that's 6'2" plus and can play target man, highly recommend you use it this year. The target forward seems to be very, very good. Knocks it into Cannon, right? Davies now comes in being the Mazzala. Back to O'Connell, back to Hall, and, bit of a rotated side out here, but we're doing well. And as you can see, ball gets played out. I'm trying to click Foster's name, and you can see from playing out that it's just your traditional, normal shape. The halfback drops in between, so it creates a free at the back. It allows your left wing back, who even though is inverted, Lyons Foster, will stay wide until it's vacated by Davies. So Lyons Foster's there. It's not vacated. Davies is there, so he keeps his width. Straight away, Lyons Foster knows Davies got the ball, and he starts to look to come inside if Davies is going to move. But typical shape, you got triangle here, triangle here, triangle here. You got all your triangles. The halfback is so important. Highly recommend you play with the halfback so he drops in between the centre backs to help you build out. Davies finds Cannon, and that's what I mean. Because we got all the triangles, if we can find the 10, and this isn't even Elliot Lee, this is Cannon, who's a 2-star centre attacking mid as a backup. If you can find that and break that pressing line, all of a sudden you've got that vertical tiki-taka, off you go. Now we look to recycle again, 4 days out there, not Lowton this time. And then it's a ball into a channel for Taylor. And look at Lyons Foster here. Davies is getting into the box. Palmer's in the box. You got Cannon getting into the box. 4 days top of the box. Look at Foster straight away. Instead of being a wing back and maybe being wide or sitting in the half back way line, or maybe even attacking the back stick, he's the one that fills the centre mid role. So Ford, O'Connor, because of this, and we got all those men, we have one extra man over to create the passing option. You know, if that's the fullback in here, O'Connor might have to go backwards here, or it might have to be a centre-back that steps up, and they're not particularly great at hitting balls. But as you can see, Foster gets it, puts it in the bottom bin. This highlight here shows you the target man peeling wide to beat the out ball, and it also shows you, obviously, the inverted wingback will fill up that role so the Mazzala can bomb on and get that little bit wider, attack that back stick in a crossing situation, and still have defensive cover. The last thing I am going to show you here as well, if we can reverse the camera, is say if this ball gets lost, say if this went into the mixer, right? We've got a player sitting here in the centre-back. We've got O'Connell, who's the half-back, Tunnicliffe, who's the other centre-back, and the inverted wing-back. We've got 4 guys behind the ball still. So say that's a cross that gets headed away on the break because you have an inverted wing-back, not a full-back on attack or a complete wing-back getting up to the other side of the line or anything like that. You have the ability to still win the ball high or apply pressure to delay the opposition to force them backwards so you can get into shape. And I think that's an important aspect of this system as well. Now I've got a second highlight where we get to see a target forward score from a floated cross, which I think it's important to keep it on whip for this exact crossing situation. You also see that the target forward will look to pin himself more backstick on a fullback, and if you're playing a target forward, they're generally a big boy, so they're going to win headers. But what you also get to see is a little bit of the defensive shape and what goes on here and why we play players in the positions that we do. So you got Bate, you got Foster. I swear you can highlight more. And we need to get Gabion as well as a halfback. Now, the rest of the players, you'll see what happens, but it's important to see what these 3 players do in this highlight. Now, we do nearly concede here with a good ball through. This happens a lot from short set pieces, but you get the halfback, and the halfback will often be the guy that's going to win the ball back in those last-ditch areas. So they're the guys that are going to sit in and build up and be that third centre-back, and they're the guys that are going to win that ball back to stop anything being swept up here. What I like as well is obviously we play out from the back because it's a good system to do so. Straight away, as you can see here, you got even a back 5 nearly, right? Gambion's dropping in to allow Lyons Foster to start to look to go through. Bindon gets a good ball out to Lowton. Now, the rest of these highlights not maybe the greatest build-up play. That's a great ball there to Mullen. Yet again, striker getting slightly wide, getting in that half spot. But start looking at Bate and start looking at Foster here. Bate already knows the situation's on. So Mazzala on attack getting wider. He's got to get wider than Palmer, or they're both going to get into the same area and make this run into here, right? Brilliant. You look at Foster, right, and you look at Bate. Look at this. Straight away, Bate's going. Bang. Foster knows straight away, even though he's doing a Superman jump here, I have to fill up the 6 role because if we do lose the ball here, we've got an overload between 1, 2, 3, 4, even though Mullen should not lose it. But he does. Look who's there straight away. Lyons Foster. And now from here, you get to just watch why we play it on whipped crosses. Cannon gets it. A little bit lucky that it falls back to Lowton, let's be honest. But this is why you play the target forward. Pinning himself on the fullback. Ashley, the taller centre-back, can't get there because it's a good ball and it's headed in the back of the net. So big takeaway from that highlight is the halfback will sweep up. The halfback will sit in the hole. But you will see him build up there that if Mullen gets that away cleanly, we find a pass. Bates the forward thinking central midfielder that's going to get even wider than Palmer. You got an option at the back stick and a big boy in Palmer, and you will always have the inverted wing back that will come in and see that danger because the centre mid's leaving the role. You always have that defensive stability in the middle of the park. And it's a good highlight to show. I could show you guys all the fancy, smexy, 15 pass goals, but you need to see the nitty gritty as well of winning the ball back, winning it in a counter pressing situation, and inverted wing back identifying the danger and then showing you what the end product looks like when you do win the ball back with a little bit of chaos in between. This last goal just shows you about positional play of the striker dropping in, shows you what the inverted wingback does when he gets the ball as well, and the midfielder role is vacated. Also shows you that the 10s do score in the system too. So we had an original back 4 here, and Clemmer runs the ball and finds Palmer's feet. We do end up keeping the ball here with Palmer, and look at this, straight away. A traditional wing-back would look to go and run wide and try to go down the line, or look to play it inside. As always, Tunnicliffe, O'Connell, Boyle, Cannon's inside. Look at Lewis Bate, or Jordan Davies in this day, because it looks like we rotated here against Wilburton in this game. Palmer's in here, and I love this run. And I would love to show you guys a goal with Lewis Bate, but I don't think he has not scored a goal since the last episode. It's not often the Mazzala ends up scoring when he creates so much space. Anyway, look at Clemworth go. You're right. Boyle picks it up. Clemworth stays inside, doesn't retreat back. And straight away, I'm the central midfielder. Me. That's what the inverted wing back says. I'm the central midfielder. You don't need to be here because you need to be an option to receive the ball over here. We still got the nice little triangles here. You still got the halfback covering these two boys. And as you can see here, if he really wanted to in this position, Anthony Forday, if he wants to ping a pass into here, if he thinks he's Steven Gerrard and Forday gets on his bike, will get on that and you're going to have the backstick run of the Mazzala that's going to get there. It's a beautiful system. If you want to look and freeze Manchester City at any point, they always seem to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys virtually in a line looking to drop in and out and pick up balls. Now, you're thinking, okay, he's got the ball here. He's probably looking to play a pass into here or a ball into direct, or maybe he's looking to give it to Elliot Lee, not Ollie Palmer, he's on the other side, or Mullen. You are correct in that, but not the way that you think. Mullen actually drops in. Elliot Lee becomes scorer. Great little football, great finish. And it's a great little highlight to see. So you get all those little intrinsic little bits of build-up. You get your traditional goals as well, don't get me wrong, where it's going to be a ball over the top, Mullen runs in and scores. But those are the little, integral why I think this system is one of the best to use on FM24 this year. Get the inverted wing back, allow him to fill in for a Mazzala that is bombing on, and then you'll always be in great shape there. And if you lose the ball, you're defensively solid. And if you win the ball, it is going to be fantastic. Next time we see each other, though, it's going to be for the Notts County game. Let's see if this system talks the talk in today's episode and we can beat second and go well on our way to winning the title. Match day. Let's get into it, boys. Will we walk the walk and talk the talk? Since we last met, Colchester was the last game where Lewis Bate did score a couple goals in. So if you want to go watch the last episode to see when the Mazzala does score, that's a not bad little plug. We played the majority of these games all on stream. I'll highlight the games we did not play on stream, and that's because we did film the FPL podcast last night. So if you did have a bad week in FPL, I got 27 points still inside the top 20k. My FPL video will be out later this week. You can also go listen to the podcast on my mate Paulie's channel, which will be in the links down below, as we are posting that one live to his channel for the first time in a while. With that being said, as you can see here, majority of these games played on Twitch, so links down below to come watch us live. Big results to kind of tick on is A, we have not lost the game in the league, but a couple of draws have climbed in with MK Dons, Newport County and Bradford City. Secondly, we did get knocked out in the penalty shootout against Blackpool in a game that we were slightly unlucky. Their goal was decent, but it was late, and then we ended up losing in the shootout. But I didn't think we did much wrong, and against a team that is above us in the fighting for promotion, it's great. And 3 days before, we did knock Charlton out of the FA Cup 5-0. 3 days before, me and the stream could not believe this one. It was just utter carnage. We were laughing on stream. You can always watch my VODs 30 days as well on Twitch if you really want to. Outside of that, a couple of draws, and that were born out of Liam Hall playing in goals mainly. And I'll explain why Liam Hall was in goals, not Arthur, for a couple of these games. Did have a good game against Crawley, to be fair. We then got knocked out in a crazy game against Blackburn. Even though I wasn't on stream, my mate Paul watched this as we were about to film the FPL podcast last night. So this game's too important to not play before the pod. Look, Blackburn much the better side, but we did take the lead through Mullen. We did get back to level terms with Palmer. We gave ourselves a lifeline with Ollie Palmer late yet again. And that's the other thing. This tactic, even if you're getting dominated, because it's narrow and because it's congested and because you're not allowing a central midfielder time and space to turn and play because you're trapping inside, as long as you have a good day in the press, you've got to stay in games because you will win the ball back and you will have chances moving forward. And it's an aggressive enough system that is the case. There's a lot to be said that maybe you should be looking in these bigger games to sit back, 2 banks of 4, and really congest space and really make it difficult for your opponents to score. I find on FM, you just always end up conceding that way. At least this way you can have a little bit of fun and still be aggressive and sometimes do some pretty cool, wacky stuff like we did to Charlton. So my synopsis from our FA Cup run is pretty much that we're ready for League One. Let's go beat Notts and see if we are going to be in League One. Now, we do have a little couple of other things, to talk about quickly. Finance, we started at 5 mil down to 721k in the club. I expect this to be even lower. We're down to 326 according to my other screen down here, so even lower than that. It does mean that it's very likely this team's not going to get much reinvestment next year, depending on what Ryan and Rob do in terms of owners. I don't know. Arthur still has his contract expiring. When it's available for us to pick him up on a free, I'm going to try to, but we'll see if the game lets me or, if unfortunately we won't have the money to do so. Second thing that we need to discuss here as well was Paul Mullen. Now, Mullen is a fantastic player worth 6 to 7 mil. but he's been a little bit unhappy. Wanting a lack of sufficient depth in the goalkeeping department. He came to me and said, I want depth. And I was like, look, we've got depth for this level. You got Arthur, who's your clear number one. You got Rob Lane. It's not that I sold Mark Howard for a free because he wanted to leave. I got Rob Layton, who is still here and is a very good backup keeper for this level. And in the end, he wouldn't talk me down. He was like, no, we need a keeper. We need a keeper. We need a keeper. We don't need a keeper. Not at this level. The club is not in a big enough state where we need 3 keepers. However, I've decided to call Liam Hall up. He's only got 2-star potential. He's developing slightly, and my idea is to play him in these very weak games moving forward, and once we win the league, play him in every game and try and make Paul Mullen happy, because I said I'll make sure I give some of the youth a shot at playing and moving forward. Hopefully he takes that and goes, yep, that sounds like a good idea. If he doesn't, then it is what it is. But hopefully, we can make Paul Mullen happy. If not, he's a sellable asset, and we'll sell him and take the money and get the club coffers back. We did make one transfer as well since we've all last met here too, and it's a player you guys all know, Jean-Philippe Gimian from Everton. He's a very good pickup for the club. Doesn't only like to play ball-winning midfield. I play him on halfback, even though he doesn't particularly like it. I think he's great. The main reason we bought him is the value. Coming into Wrexham, even in League 2, he's worth 7 mil. Great pickup. My idea is to play him this year, go up, play him in League 1, keep me in League 1, or push to get promoted in League 1 from what we've seen so far this season and what we've done to League 1 sides. And then look to sell him because he probably is not going to be good enough for the championship. Looks like he's declining slightly. And if I can get my 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 million for him, I think it's just a very shrewd piece of business. All right, let's get into this game here. Lee's out, so Andy Cannon of 2 stars, the only backup centre attacking mid that I have. So in he comes, Andy Cannon. And it's going to be Arthur, Lowton, Bindon, Evans, Foster, Gambian. Other reason for signing him, it allows Evans to play in his preferred George Evans centre-back role, and he looks pretty damn good there. O'Connor, Lewis Bate, who's definitely not going to be here next year. The guy has been a joke. He's got 10 goals in the middle of the park. Cannon, Mullen, and Palmer will play, even though Lyle Taylor's fantastic. I just think having the target forward is huge in this system, and we'll play Lyle Taylor off the bench. Let's get into it. Hopefully we do beat Notts County. Obviously, they're a team that Wrexham have fought a lot with in real life. My mate Paul's even doing their save with them, and he's currently got them top in his save. They're the only, one of the very few teams to beat me this year. It's been interesting to see what happens. Let's see if this tactic walks the walk after doing an episode on it. They're playing 5 at the back with 2 and a 1 in the Christmas tree sort of formation there. Look, what I will say with that is they generally don't concede too many goals. 19 goal difference. Ours is 51. It's pretty extraordinary. Hopefully it will be A-OK. Let's get into it here. Hopefully it's a nice, easy one for us. I doubt it highly, but a win today would mean theoretically I'm going to win the title, I think. We won't get caught with the amount of games going, and also allow me to play Hall in a few games moving forward as well. Set piece here, O'Connor. We'll switch the camera in a second as George Evan heads over the bar. Not much I've done with the set pieces. I've kind of left that to the set piece coach that we have here. I do occasionally play a short corner along with the in-swinging far post and near post corners, and we got one here. Cannon goes towards the near stick. Gambian's there, doesn't win it. Ollie Palmer's there, heads it across goal instead of going for goal. And, well, he probably should have headed it at goal. But, unfortunately, the Chaos Merchant, Ollie Palmer, does not get the goal there. Lowton finds Mullen. Lowton, Paul Mullen, finds Evans. Goes back there. And look at Gambian filling in that extra role. Now, Ollie Palmer's back stick. Lowton lips it out there to him. Oh, my God. If that went in, that would have been the goal of the year. Ollie Palmer scissor kick just over the bar. No. Just go in. That would have been an extraordinary goal of the year. It would have been goal of the save if Ollie Palmer did that. As you can tell from the tactic here, not trying to keep the ball, and I'm okay. There's games where we have 60% possession, and there's games where we have even amounts of possession, and slightly less. We're good in all those games. Paul Mullen, Lowton, finds Cannon. Great run. Look at the numbers in the box. Already got 3 guys here. If that's Lowton getting from Cannons in the box as well, this is why we do it. Foster's on the top of the box as well. Lowton, backstick ball. Palmer is punched away. Foster retains. Bate gets knocked over. That's a pen. And yet again, the ball coming out the box and the inverted wingback recycling is superb. Now, Paul Mullen's the best penalty taker out there. Lyle Taylor's the best penalty taker at the club. But Mullen with a chance. And Mullen sends Stone the wrong way. And we lead 1-0 in the top of the table clash. This 4-1-2-1-2 has had a pretty good half. It hasn't been like the most dominating half in terms of possession. But it's been a good half to showcase that even in these tougher games, You generally are in the game a lot of the time. Straight away highlight though, Iverson, Tipton, Bryan, going on a run, finds Montoya. Good shape here, but if they get a turn away, we're in trouble, and that's the ball. There we are. Player facing forward. That's a good ball in. Yeah, that's just quality from Knots. And sometimes you concede quality. 1-1, great move. They haven't done much, and then as soon as we score, they score straight away. Typical Football Manager things. But what they did very well here is they found a midfielder facing forward, and Mullen was just a bit slow to get into his face to stop that ball from happening. There's not much you can really do with that. That's a great ball in and a great finish too. Sometimes you just got to go, that is too good. And that was too good. 1-1 here at halftime. It wouldn't be the worst result, a point. I still think we would win the league with a point. If we lost today, it would be very detrimental. So far, it's okay. Cannon, front stick again, cleared away, only as far as Bate, who puts it just over the bar. 50 minutes played. They're looking a little bit more tired, but I've been rotating quite heavily for this game to make sure people are fit. Evans has taken a twisted knee. That's not good. Does he recover? Slightly. We might get him off here for O'Connell anyway. Bodstock's just come off of Palmer. Don't know what Palmer that is, but that's a good thing if Bodstock's coming off. All right, so Bate is going to stay out there. It's George Evans that's got a little bit of the injury. O'Connell will move in. Everyone else seems to be okay. Ollie Palmer's not had the best of games, so I am going to switch these two around and show you guys what it looks like with the poacher up front. And the reason why I do this, it allows Mullen to get a little bit wider and create a few different little areas as well. And we go with that. Leave a few transfers, or a few substitutions up our sleeve as we move forward. Cannon looks dead. He's not the greatest footballer, I will say this. We could have maybe moved Taylor into a centre attacking mid role. But look at us build out here. O'Connor. Good little bit of build up. Mullen peeling that bit wider. Keeps it with O'Connor. Look at the transition over to Lowton. The side-to-side movement. Cannon made a run, ignored. Lowton might go himself. Gets to the byline, cuts it. O'Connor puts it over the bar. Think Lowton should have ripped it to the four guys running 6-yard box, but very good build up. 2.7 XG. Things point to us winning, but they're not having us win. Going to move Jordan Davies in, who's had a pretty good year. Lowton looks a little bit dead. Anthony Forday is more of a winger that can play wing back, so I'll put him out there in these games to sometimes find me a winner from deep. And see if he does. Time ticks away. We needed a penalty today. 3.01 XG. Can we find one late? Anthony Ford, backstick. Bindon heads over. Another highlight goes begging. From a statistical point of view, we've had a very good game, but unfortunately, we've not found the goal. O'Connor. Gambian. It's in. Jean-Philippe scores his first goal for the club at the front stick. We've scored from a penalty in a corner. So, you know, for a game that is meant to highlight if this system's good enough to use, you've seen set pieces, which I apologise for, but you can definitely tell from the highlight, and Stone should do better, really. You can tell from the statistics that the system has played very well. This kind of sums up our year. We have underperformed slightly to our expected data at times. Time ticks. Is it going to be a last-minute drama, or is that going to be all she wrote? We win against we win against Notts County, not Nottingham County. They'll get angry. Notts County. We were much the better side on the day. 3.28 XG. If we scored to our XG plus, we would have won the game comfortably. And what you saw from the tactic is it does work well. There was definitely good elements of footballing play there that show you that. And in a tougher game, we still won. That puts us on 80 points. There's 12 games to go in the season because I think you guys play 46 down here, if you don't mistaken. Pretty sure it's 46. Let me just double check. 46 games. There we go. Beautiful. Which means that with 12 games to go, we've got a pretty solid lead. And unless we start choking games out of nowhere, I think we're going to win the title fairly comfortably. With that being said, 4-1-2-1-2. Use it? Yes, I believe you should, because I really do think it's the best system at the moment in the main game. That was a good way to highlight it. Last thing I'm going to do is just touch on the team data hub. We're only 5 goals above our XG. We spent a lot of time about 5 goals under our expected XG. We have conceded more than a couple of goals of what our expected XGA is, but we have got the most points total, and we're overperforming there as well. So, judging from everything there, it's a great tactic, shown you some great goals. The system worked pretty well there. We scored our XG, we would have blown them out the park. Doesn't always work that way on FM. I'm going to see you guys at the end of the season for a 1 minute short to recap the rest of the season and see what we can do in terms of a points tally. I really do think that's us winning the title, and that is one of the best tactics you can use. Give it a like, subscribe to the YouTube. Thank you very much, and goodbye.